Hey YouTube, as I go. Where are we? We're in my crawl space, which is actually a pretty good looking crawl space. The white stuff on the ground is a radon membrane, so we have radon mitigation in here. We only really store a few items in here. I want to keep it open, you know, not clutter it up. Ceiling height here is somewhere between 4 and 5 feet, so it's pretty easy to get around. We have light, we have outlets in here, so doing little improvements to the crawl spaces or running plumbing, running electrical is pretty easy. But I'm a little out of breath running around here with a mask on my face. Doesn't really make it much easier. Anyways, we have a little bit of a rodent problem. Winter time is coming, nights are getting colder, mice are wanting to move into nice warm homes, and we were gone for like 3 or 4 days and found mouse droppings all over the place in our and the normal way how they get in is through our crawl space. I've already closed off all openings to the outside, but those critters are pretty inventive in how they get into a crawl space. They tunnel under the foundation walls and then come out of the dirt and eat a hole through my radon membrane. That's pretty easy to find the access point. Then I put out mouse traps. Already caught one mouse. I have bait boxes on the outside of the house. You know, you don't want to put any bait poison inside your house, because then they just die indoors and then they rot away and stink. So what I'm going to do today is take care of one big issue. So I'm big into, you know, improving insulation in a 40-year-old house and making it more efficient and breathe better and be dry and all that stuff, and watch a lot of YouTube videos about it. And yeah, so crawlspaceninja.com, that's a good source. They post all the information about all the projects that they do, what products they use, how they attach stuff, how they do stuff. It's a good source. It's a YouTube channel, has like 25,000 followers or so. I don't know exactly the latest numbers. And one recommendation they give is getting rid of the fiberglass in between your floor joists. I've spent a little bit of time back in the days when we first bought this house to clean it up, get rid of, there was actually, it's like particle board that was nailed under here. It's kind of weird to do that with a rear facing camera. Here guys, let me switch around here, hold on. No light needed, so lots of lighting in here. White radon membrane. Here next to me is, where is it? You see a pipe running there. That's corrugated, perforated pipe under the plastic that's hooked up to a radon fan that sucks the air out under the plastic and gets rid of the radon outside of the house. Pretty simple system. Here's a little electrical hookup box for that fan and a gauge that kind of indicates whether or not the motor of that fan is slowly going bad. They have to be replaced every few years. Anyways, so originally there was a type of a very cheap particle board nailed under here to keep the foundation, the insulation in place. What you create with that is a highway for mice. They just get into the insulation and then they can run around everywhere. What Crawlspace Ninja recommends is to take this insulation in between your floor joists away and then rather insulate the outside of your crawl space, so the walls towards the outside world. And they use styrofoam or closed cell foam, and they just pretty much attach it to the foundation walls. You can see there's a little bit of some water staining, moisture staining. I've since taken care of that issue on the outside of the house. But yeah, here's a little bit of a slope. This is usually the short stubby foundation wall that the mice come under. and then leave a nice hole here somewhere in the plastic. It's usually easy to find. And then I usually shove a piece of steel wool in there, a little bit of insulation foam, and then close up the hole again. Yeah, that's how they get in, and then they move around. You see insulation hanging down. That's not because of moisture, it is because of rodents. And usually you find pieces and mouse droppings under there, and it's really nasty. Actually, this used to be a ventilated crawl space, just like a lot of crawl space in the United States. And I thought that would be unnecessary to have a vented crawl space, especially here in this area. We have pretty much all year round pretty low humidity. We have outside air humidity of 20-30%. During the summer it's around 10, so it's always really low. In the winter we get a few days where it spikes up to like 50-60 just because of a rainstorm coming through or some snow, but it's usually really dry climate. And I have also since got myself a little indoor thermometer that can run little temperature humidity monitoring stations. See that white little thing there on the joist there? This is just measuring temperature and humidity. I have two here in the crawl space, and I have the monitoring station up in my living room so I can take a look at it. Even when the humidity outside gets to 60-70%, it never goes above 50 in here. Now that I have closed all the vent holes, so I turned this into a non-ventilated crawl space. I don't know if here in the state of Nevada if this is up to code, but this is a 40-year-old house, and as long as I own it, I will do what I deem necessary. So I closed the vent openings, closed it with closed cell foam boards and then spray foam. And now I'm going to remove all the fiberglass insulation. Then I will cover all the outside walls of my crawl space with styrofoam 1.5 to 2-inch boards, and so pretty much include the crawl space into the insulated envelope of my house. Yeah, and one side effect of removing the fiberglass insulation is that I'm going to make it harder on the mice to move around. You know, they really literally tunnel through the fiberglass, and that way they can get to all places that you can't even see. Maybe there is a old pipe penetration through the floor somewhere, and I just haven't found it yet. And I'm hoping that when I remove all the insulation, that I will be able to find all those old drilled holes, or maybe there is just a hole in the plywood, or not plywood, the OSB board, the floorboards somewhere that I haven't found, and I'm going to close that all up. You know, having rodents in a crawl space is one thing, but having rodents in your living space and in your kitchen, in your pantry, that's another thing, and I'm not messing around with this. So I'm going to clean this up, make it all visible, and then I will close up every penetration, every pipe, cable, whatever penetration going through the floor, to make sure they stay out. And then down here, probably going to invest in a couple automatic mouse traps. There's one that's goodnature.com, I think. They are CO2 cartridge driven. They reset themselves. They have a little bait container, and then a mouse sticks their head in there, and they get a bolt hitting their forehead, and then they drop dead, and the trap automatically resets, so you can catch a bunch of them. So I'm gonna invest in one of those, put it down here, so if they come in, they will be attracted to that bait immediately, and don't even make it into our living space. And yeah, bait boxes on the outside of the house, in hidden places. You know, I have dogs and little kids, so I don't want them to play around with that. So always in places where they can't see it, can't get to it. can't play with it. And I hope I will get this under control, because I really don't want this. I mean, you know, you live in the countryside, that's what it's gonna be. I mean, you live anywhere, you will have rodents. Here you can see that where the fiberglass is kind of like hollowed out. They just poke through this stuff. There's mouse droppings here all over the place. Just a little bit. Here we have one of the little fellows that didn't make it. Snap. Right on the guts. Very nice. So one less mouse that crawls around in my house. But yeah, they are getting from the crawl space in, oh, here we go, into my house somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if there's actually a nest in there somewhat. And yeah, stuff falling down. So we will see what I can accomplish. I will close this all up, clean this all out, and kill all the mice that I can find. Sorry, if you are a mouse lover and you're very environmentally friendly and I should all release them, it's not gonna happen. If they come into my house, they unfortunately will have to die, because there are millions of those out there, and I'm not gonna participate in catch and release game. Sorry. All right, don't send me any hate mail, please. All right, this is, yeah, my crawl space, my idea, insulation on the walls. You only need to do the outside walls, not the interior walls of the crawl space like that one here is interior. So you don't need to insulate those. Just make sure you have no moisture ingress, insulated, call it a day. And then you don't need the insulation in between your joists. And that's it. I'm kind of procrastinating right now. I want to start, but I really don't want to, because it's going to be such a mess. And I've suited up. I mean, I have long sleeve pants, shirt, mask, head covering so you don't get all the stuff in your hair, and some safety galoshes, and nitrile gloves, and tons of contractor bags, big shop vac, and I have an extension hose for that, so I don't have to move it all around all the time. So I'm gonna do this in small sections, bag it up right away, vacuum up right away, because now it's still relatively clean down here. It's gonna be a mess afterwards. But yeah, Mr. Mouse needs to go. All right, if you guys have any questions, if I missed to mention something, or you have any good ideas about rodent extermination in my crawl space / house, please let me know in the comments. Thank you. You guys take care.